Learn the most advanced recruiting techniques. Land the most desirable talent. Launch your company towards massive success. This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Rick Girard.
Finding personal contact information in your recruiting efforts is our topic today. And we're talking about the value of being able to directly text or call a person you're needing to recruit for your company. That is absolutely crucial and staggering in your ability to recruit today. Want people to give you the opportunity to recruit them? Well, then you need to contact them where they will respond. And that's, I'll give you a big hint on that. That's not through email and it's not through LinkedIn. Today's quote, our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is to always try just one more time. Any idea who said that, Shafiur?
Thomas Edison.
You are spot on. See, like I had the smartest guest ever. They know all the quotes. I'm Rick Girard. Welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. Our mission is to help entrepreneurs, hiring managers avoid costly hiring mistakes. We do this by identifying a specific problem and providing a proven solution to enable your company to win the right hire. We share insights from top-performing rebel entrepreneurs, disruptors, and industry experts like our guest today, Mr. Shafiur Rahman. He is the founder and CEO of Chatterworks. Shafiur has been the right hand to founders and has built out the operational infrastructure for several companies, including Airbus Aerial, Spectrite, and Connectifier, which was acquired by LinkedIn back in 2016. He has extensive experience in driving day-to-day and long-term requirements to ramp up a successful high-growth startup. Shafiur's new startup helps potential hires with their personal contact information, which is what makes Shafiur the perfect expert for today's topic. Shafiur, welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show today.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have you on. In full disclosure, I'm actually an advisor on Shafiur's company, which is really exciting news because you guys are going to launch your beta next week, right?
Yeah, March 1st for our initial pilot.
So excited. So we'll talk a little bit more about that to come. So today we're going to discuss why direct contact is critical to your recruiting efforts. We're going to talk about what contact information is most important, and then how to find contact information of the people you need to hire. Sound like fun?
Definitely.
All right, we're in. All right, so let's start with the obvious question is why do we need to find people's contact information? I mean, if you look at what most people do, I have a job, I need to fill it, so I'm going to post some ads out, see what comes to me. I might send out some LinkedIn emails. Isn't that good enough?
No, absolutely not. I mean, think about it. If you just sit around and wait. I mean, I'm by no means the recruiting expert. I've learned over the past 10 or so years of helping trying to build and scale company. You learn something new at every company you go to, right? All the requirements and what you need and how to find them. And, you know, what you come to gather is that passive recruiting is very critical in any kind of scale. So what do you need to passive recruit? Phone numbers and email addresses and personal, right? I mean, there's a lot of solutions out there that'll give you a lot of data on someone,
sure,
but they're giving you their work phone number, their work email. And is someone really going to respond to a work email if you write them a job or call them on their work line, right? They're not going to take the risk of that.
Most likely not. Actually, I haven't sent email to a work email like in years, and there's no reason to because companies usually have access to that, and that's probably the quickest way to not get a response.
Yeah, exactly. Get blocked completely.
Yeah, get blocked completely and actually get listed as spam and probably maybe even a phone call and get cussed out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
which I'm sure a lot of recruiters have experienced, right?
Or recruiters and probably founders too.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and it's not a good idea if you're reaching out to somebody you want to get them where there's going to be the path of least resistance, which would be what?
At their work.
No, not at their work. Right?
Exactly. So the path of least resistance would be through their personal contact, right?
Yeah.
So you have personal emails, which even nowadays, right, personal emails take a little bit of time for people to open and read, respond to, and phone numbers, picking up the phone and calling. I mean, a lot of people are afraid to call, right? They just want to quickly send an email. They call it that, and they'll do a follow-up every other day, maybe the same day or so forth. But lately, it's been text messaging, right? So everyone's communicating in the form of text. They're quickly to respond. They're quickly to check you out. If you curate that text just good enough, you'll be able to get a response.
Now, I can feel some of our audience probably squirming in their chairs right now, like, that's evasive. You're going to reach out to me via text message. here's the thing. We went through some data over the past couple of days, and what's interesting is that 48% of people opt in or would prefer to be contacted via text over email, and email was a 22% like preference, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So why not hit people where they want to be hit? Text is very non-evasive. It's easy. Open and response rates are amazingly high. So this is some other data we pulled. So you're going to get a 45% open and response rate from a text via and 8% via email. So 98% of texts are read compared to only 20% of email. And text messages, if you do the math, actually, text message have a 750% response rate over email.
It's insane. I mean, it's the same thing. I get texts all day long over email, right? Even communicating with some of my team members, it's over text.
Now, here's how I'm able to use it. I usually use the text as a lead-in to spark a conversation to get somebody to talk to me on the phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so why aren't we doing it? All right. So let's talk a little bit about data, right? Because it's really not evasive to send a text. It's pretty easy. People can respond to them within 5 seconds, and that can lead to a phone call. And that's really your objective when you're a founder or an entrepreneur and you're trying to build your company. You just need somebody to respond.
Yeah.
Right? So the useful data here that we're trying to get, or like the most useful data, is really like what? We're looking at personal phone numbers and personal email. Yeah. That's really all you need.
Yeah, to get a hold of a candidate. And we'll also, which we will talk about on another time, which you'll learn more on our site, is social intelligence, right? Understanding their social behavior, where they like to communicate, and so forth.
And how they like to communicate.
And how, exactly. The best form.
Yeah, there's tools out there that can help you with that too. All right, you're listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. I'm Rick Girard, and for our podcast listeners, we're going to take a quick educational moment from our sponsors. Check out what we do at stridesearch.com. There you're going to find additional content and resources and information on how you can book me to speak at your next meeting or conference. Our guest today is Shafiur Rahman. He's the founder and CEO of Chatterworks. And we're actually talking about how to get contact information, the use of contact information in your recruiting efforts. So how do we find contact information? I mean, outside the obvious, okay, I join Indeed or ZipRecruiter, one of the job boards. I look at a resume. The resume usually has contact information. If I'm trying to do it the cheap way, I have to send it through like their platform, right?
Yeah.
Or email. So like, how do I find personal contact information where I can save my time and make sure that I'm kind of getting that direct contact or getting the response?
Yeah, and that's the tough part. If you're doing it on your own, right? No tools, platforms, or so forth. I mean, a lot of people want to find contact information with, they'll go extreme and go private investigators, or they'll go by lists.
Hire Magnum PI.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or hire or purchase all these public data lists, right? Where they have, email lists galores and trying to get a hold of people that way. You're manually scrolling through all the social sites trying to find someone, right? Hopefully there's a bit of information on this site or that site, even LinkedIn, right? Everywhere. You're trying to just piece it all together, and you're spending countless amount of time. I remember when I was doing it, was like you can spend up to like 30 to 45 minutes trying to find that one person's information that you want, and then maybe not even walk away with anything. And hopefully you got something right. You don't know, and you're gambling with it.
Sourcing, which is what we're talking about, is incredibly labor intensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a lot of time to identify the people. And then once you identify them, now you've got to scour everywhere. I mean, even running Google search and Boolean queries and doing whatever you can do to find contact information, right? So you're out to solve all that problem.
Definitely.
Okay. So the options you have here, as you mentioned, hire a PI. What else? Like background check companies?
Yeah, background check companies. There's tools out there for background check companies to just pull, hey, we'll try and give you all their social handles, or we're trying to get you their work history and so forth. So you're just spending countless amount of time trying all these various tools, and they're probably not even geared towards what the information you need.
Okay. Or you could probably build your own tech stack.
Yeah, that's true. If you have the skill set to build your own tech stack, crawlers, aggregators, and then piece it together, right? So you may be able to go crawl this site and crawl that site, and then trying to piece and match that data is a whole nother animal.
So we're talking about public data that's already out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
you're not actually cracking or like hacking into somebody's account. All your data is out there.
Yeah, all the data is out there. For your public profile.
All my data is out there too.
Yeah, my resume is out there. My LinkedIn profile is out there. Everything's out there.
I ran a search earlier for you on, I think it was like whitepagers.com. All your information came up, minus your cell phone number, but that was there and it was blurred out.
Yeah.
And I'm out there too. Like, so if you guys would think that there's privacy and your information's not out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's really, I mean, it takes a lot of work to get to it, but the fact is, okay, it's there. You can find it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's super labor intensive. So how do we, so how do we do this? So give me the steps in which you think, like, let's say I don't have time to hire tools. Like, what's the best way in which I can kind of gather contact information, maybe piece together various social platforms, or like, what do I need to do? Like, what's the work involved with me getting somebody's contact information if I don't get lucky and just find it out?
Yeah, so obviously everyone knows the largest network to find professional people is LinkedIn, right?
Oh, no way. Really?
So you're going to try, right? You're going to
hell
go
you
on
say.
there. You got first, second, third degree connections. The likelihood of you actually pulling an email or a phone number off a LinkedIn profile is pretty slim, right?
Well, you have to connect up with them
Exactly.
to be
yeah.
able to see
Yeah,
anything.
Yeah. Unless
And
they're
then-
completely public and they show it, which is very rare on LinkedIn that
Yeah.
everyone's giving out their phone number on LinkedIn. Right?
Nobody is.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you have to connect up with them first. And so then that takes time. And a lot of people are pretty protective of their networks.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to send them a message and do that whole thing. And then maybe they...
Yeah,
link
you're
up with
lucky
you.
if you get a response back. Yeah.
And then I don't know what the data is. I don't read the LinkedIn data, but I think it's totally skewed, at least in my market. I work in tech quite often. And the fact of the matter is, like, the response rates have gone down significantly through the LinkedIn email platform. For me,
yeah.
for some people it works. I don't know.
Well, you even have those job bots, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just insane how many people that try and say, hey, I have a job for you, and uncurated, have no idea what I do, and they're sending you a job that has nothing to do with your background. Right?
I got recruited for a Java job the other day.
A job.
I've never coded. I think I have Java on my LinkedIn profile because I used to recruit Java engineers. Yeah, so...
It makes sense. That's what you get. And what's the likelihood? I mean, think about it. If you're going after passive candidates, they're definitely not checking their InMail for invites to jobs or messaging about jobs. You want to get a hold of them directly.
So what you effectively find somebody on LinkedIn, then what do you got to do? You got to go to other various social platforms.
Yeah. I'd go try and find them on Facebook or Twitter or AngelList or GitHub or whatever. I mean, there's so many platforms out there. I mean, to try and find this person and see what information they have. And my thing is like trying to check, are they active on Facebook? Are they active on Twitter? What are they more active on? And then try and communicate with them directly via those platforms, which is a pain. That's all manual, right?
Yeah.
And time intense trying to get that one candidate you're trying to get a hold of.
I've spent a couple hours at one point, like trying to find contact information on one person. Like just
yeah, it's
digging, running Booleans, like just, it's been crazy. So there's a lot of tools out there, luckily for us. So when you build a crawler, right, or you're like trying to aggregate that information, let's say I'm trying to automate it for myself. What do I need to actually do? I need to build a crawler?
Yeah, I mean, you have to build out. If you're trying to build it yourself, I mean, you have to understand. Honestly, I didn't build it myself. I have a tech team that builds that stuff.
You built
it. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is that it's not easy, right? To go out there and build your own crawlers, aggregate data, and then match it. Matching is the critical part. Is how do you know that this, for example, Twitter matches this guy's LinkedIn with this guy's Facebook and this guy's GitHub? Like, how do you do all that? It's very complicated even to do on your own. So, I mean, that's not even a suggestion to do unless you're an engineer yourself.
Exactly. All right. So your options are to actually build it yourself. Mm-hmm. You can buy public data or buy the data, right?
Yeah.
Or you can find tools.
Yes, exactly.
Which is what you guys are going to be providing.
Yes, definitely.
Right. So let's talk about tools that are out there because do we know what tool so I think the big ones are like ZoomInfo, Spokio, and what was the other one?
Zoom Info, Spokio, Swordfish was another one.
Okay. So, but there's different. So I've looked into a bunch of them over the years, and a lot of them. So what I liked about Connectifier a long time ago was just before LinkedIn gobbled them up, was that you had personal email address and phone number, and it was pretty straightforward stuff. There are some tools that focus primarily on work email address and phone numbers, which are good if you're calling into businesses and you're trying to sell them something.
Works good for BD, right? Business development stuff.
But not so good for recruiting.
No.
But I still would argue, like, even if you're doing business development and if you got somebody's cell phone, it's probably a better way to get in touch with somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, this platform works for anyone in general. That you think about, you have stakeholders you're trying to get a hold of from business development. So get their email, get their personal phone number to get a hold of them. Trying to get through like someone's landline at the office, getting screened by a receptionist or secretary, right, is a mess, right? You most likely won't get to that person.
Well, in some companies too, in tech companies, they don't have like a company-wide phone number.
Exactly.
Like there's no.
You can't even get a hold of them.
No.
Send a message and we'll get back to you one day.
Yeah, exactly. It's all it's all via email or something like that. Like there's no company number a lot of times.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially startups. All right, so we got whitepages.com. Let's talk about that a little bit, because whitepages is what? Basically like the old school yellow pages and white pages from yesteryear?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
from the
books that used to get dropped off at your doorstep.
They still do, I think. They got like a lot thinner.
It's smaller now. Yeah. Before it was a thick.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised. I never would have thought to use white pages for anything except for, think about you get people's home phone numbers and maybe their home addresses.
But nobody has a home phone number anymore
exactly.
either.
No one uses those landlines anymore.
No.
Everyone's very, very mobile.
Which is why I think they added cell phone numbers.
Yeah.
But cell phone numbers are a little harder to find because they're unlisted, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They're unlisted.
Okay. So how is somebody's like cell phone number found? So if I type in my cell phone number into public listing, that's where it's captured.
Yeah. So like if you've posted a public resume out there, or if you have like all these public profiles, like I said, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, AngelList, I mean, you can keep going on the list of how many sites there are that people try, or Google or anything, just anywhere you could have put your phone number, it's out there.
So it's funny because I remember calling somebody, like I get every once in a while I call somebody and they're like, "How'd you get my personal number?" I'm like, it's pretty
Google.
easy. He said, "I'm really good at what I do." It's no secret. So like anytime you put anything out there, a resume. So if you put a resume even on your own, so especially on your own personal website, even if it's blocked, you guys can scrape and find that.
Yeah, it's public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And obviously with public data, we gave everyone the ability to opt out, right? So it's all CCPA, GDPR compliant stuff.
Okay. So in your space, in the recruiting space, there's what I know are like 3 main tools that are used. Who's the big player? Like Zoom Info?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you're looking at, LinkedIn's obviously the biggest one.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have a bunch of bolt-on sites that provide you contact information. So yeah, like Zoom Info, Swordfish, Spokio. There's so many places that try and give you the information, and a lot of them give you business information, right? Okay. So what you want is personal in the recruiting world, right?
So in what you guys are doing, because you're providing contact information for both recruiters and entrepreneurs who are looking to recruit for their company, you're looking at the only two other ones I know are like Swordfish and Lucia. The other one I don't like. I don't like the third one. Sorry, I don't recommend it. So, but I've used all of them. So, not yours though yet. So we'll work on that.
Yes.
Can I get it on the beta?
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. So, so those are the best ways to find contact information. So really, like, what should somebody be looking for in the tools to find, like, how much should that data cost? If I wanted to get contact information, like
typically what the market pays now is anywhere from like $300 to $1,000 a month per seat, right? I mean, it really depends on
how many contacts you're going after.
Exactly, how many contacts you're going after, or just how big certain companies have gotten to where they can charge that premium rate.
But from my experience, you're looking at like $1 a click, right? Like that's really what it boils down to.
Almost like $1 profile type.
Yeah,
deal, right?
So
like
I
think
the
ones
recruiting for your company, then I'm sure you're going to start looking at profile and building a profile list of people that you want to recruit.
Yeah,
and then you're just clicking on their thing, copying and pasting their contact information over, and then what? Calling them when you're ready, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Dude, that's awesome. So you're looking at about $1 a click for each one. And yay. There you go. All right. So let's talk a little bit about, all right. So a lot of our audience are entrepreneurs and business leaders, and they're looking to recruit for companies. So like what would be kind of 2 or 3 key takeaways that you can give them right now that can help them to find or get in touch with the right people that they need to hire?
Yeah, so I've been, like I said, fortunate enough to be a part of several growth startups and learn quite a bit to where, the first thing is, what type of person are you looking for, right? I mean, like really understand that, like who's your hiring manager, the culture fit of the company, like what the skill set, really identify who you're looking for, and then go find them. I mean, on the internet, you have to do a ton of searches. LinkedIn, you could do a ton of searches, right, for that individual. But then after you get that, find that person you want. How do you get a hold of them, right?
I like to reverse engineer it. I think it's a good idea to actually get the profile of the cultural fit first, and then identify companies who are doing that that are in that arena, and then go after and find the people in those companies and pluck through them.
Yeah, which is why these tools are great for that.
Yeah,
it'll identify that stuff. But yeah, and then it's you still have to get their personal info, right? I mean, you're not going to send these blind messages on, for example, like LinkedIn InMail and if you use other platforms and just send them this using their platforms. I mean, what's the likelihood of response from there versus, like I said, phone number and email and text message them, right?
Well, it's gone down dramatically since people are not looking for jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just at such a low unemployment rate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people that are looking for jobs. You might get lucky and you might find somebody who's kind of in transition or in between things. Run with those people, but consider that being lucky.
Yeah.
as opposed to, hey, the people that you really need to hire a lot of times to fill out most of your ranks are already going to be working.
Yeah.
All right. So identify who you want first, then what?
Get their contact info, right?
Personal.
Yeah, the personal. I mean, I don't know what the likely, I almost want to say it's a 99.9% chance you're not going to get a response from a business contact. If you use their work or work phone.
No, you get yelled at.
Yeah, exactly. So get their
I've
contact
gotten yelled at way
information.
too many times on that one.
Outreach, and then curate that message, right? Like we talked about these job bots and all these like spam emails coming for jobs, and they're just like these marketing pre-built templates that have nothing to do with that individual, their background, their likes, dislikes, culture fit, or company or anything. Curate that message. Show them that you've researched them, you understand them, you know what they like and how they would fit and so forth, right? Give it a personal touch versus just trying to spam out a bunch of emails.
100%. Well, when you've researched the people and you've kind of found who those people are, you should definitely invest the time to write smart messaging. Mm-hmm. It just makes sense. All right, we're just about out of time for today's show. Shafiur, thanks so much for your time.
I appreciate it.
Today,
thanks for having me.
I want to welcome you to the Higher Power Radio community. Now, what's the best way in which the members of our community can reach you? Are you opening the beta? Can they?
So we just we're putting up our beta sign up later today. You can email me directly, Shafiur@Chatterworks.com.
Spell Shafiur.
Yeah, I was just it's S as in Sam, H-A, F as in Frank, I-U-R @Chatterworks with an S at the end.com. Or you can just go to Chatterworks.com and sign up for a beta later this afternoon.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank our listening audience for tuning into this week's episode of Higher Power. Quick thanks to our team, our engineer, Christopher Decker, our producers, Andrea Ballin and Ayla Girard. If you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe, review, and share. We're listening and we welcome your feedback. After all, this show is for you. Join the Higher Power Radio community at Higher, that's H-I-R-E, Power, P-O-W-E-R, radio, R-A-D-I-O.com, or you can drop me an email at rickatstridesearch.com. Tune in next week. Our guest is going to be Keith Ryu. He is the founder and CEO of Fountain. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and you have been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power Radio. Catch our LinkedIn Live show every Tuesday at noon, or download the podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform. We appreciate you joining us on Higher Power Radio with your guide to recruitment success, Rick Girard.